Ever wonder if ancient wisdom has anything, really relevant to say about our modern struggles? Things like anxiety or trauma.
Hmm.
Welcome to a deep dive that actually bridges millennia of insight with, well, with contemporary understanding. Today, we're exploring a truly profound topic,
Hmm.
the experience of soul pain.
It's a powerful concept.
Yeah, and you might immediately think of terms like a psychosomatic illness, maybe trauma response, or anxiety disorders, all familiar from behavioral science, from psychology.
Sure, those are the modern labels.
Yeah, exactly. But what if we told you that Scripture has described these very human experiences for thousands of years,
Hmm.
using these really evocative phrases like anguish of soul, spirit of heaviness, even brokenheartedness?
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is observing how modern clinical interventions have shed incredible light on the complexities of the human psyche, right?
Hmm.
Yet so many core principles often resonate, sometimes surprisingly so, with what's been articulated in biblical texts for millennia.
It's that connection we want to explore.
Right. So today we're going to unpack this intriguing intersection using the lens of Minister Donato S. Powell Sr.'s insightful work, Soul Pain and Healing.
Our mission, really, is to take these sources and show you how different perspectives can converge on this universal human experience, highlighting both modern insights and ancient truths.
It's about seeing those threads connect.
Yeah, seeing the threads. It's not necessarily about pitting them against each other. So let's begin to untangle this idea of soul pain.
Okay.
So when we talk about soul in this specific context, what exactly does our source mean? Because it's a term people use in a lot of different ways.
That's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the source defines the soul, known as nephesh in Hebrew and suchi in Greek, as the very core of human emotion, desire, and identity.
Okay, the core.
Yeah, it's depicted as distinct from the physical body, yet profoundly intertwined with it. You see this in texts like Genesis 2:7, where it says, man became a living soul, or Matthew 10:28, which speaks of the soul and body, suggesting they can be considered separately.
So it's like our inner essence.
That's a good way to put it, the essence of who you are, emotionally, volitionally.
And the Bible certainly doesn't, well, it doesn't shy away from depicting its pain, does it?
Not at all.
The source highlights these really poignant cries like, why are you cast down, O my soul? From Psalm 42.5. Or Job's incredibly raw lament, I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. That's Job 7.10. It's just so vivid.
It really is. Scripture consistently affirms that soul pain is a very real, very impactful experience. And it often manifests in, well, various ways.
Like what?
As deep emotional anguish, sure, but also spiritual desolation, sometimes even physical illness, or maybe a profound sense of disconnection from one's purpose. Research by scholars like Tan, who's cited in the source, explores these multifaceted expressions further.
Okay, this next section, this is where I found the source really surprising, the strong parallels it draws between, modern psychological understanding and these ancient biblical accounts.
Right.
Let's start with what we call psychosomatic distress.
It's a powerful connection, absolutely. Psychology has long acknowledged that emotional distress can either cause or significantly worsen physical illness.
We see that clinically.
Definitely. And a landmark example the source cites is the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, the ACE study.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. Very influential.
Hugely. This extensive research found compelling correlations between early emotional trauma things happening in childhood and later life conditions like heart disease, obesity, even certain cancers. It's a stark illustration of how deeply our emotional past can imprint on our physical present.
It's just fascinating how those ancient insights seem to really align with our modern understanding of that mind-body connection.
Mm-hmm.
The source points to Psalm 38, verses 3 through 8, which powerfully illustrates how unaddressed guilt, this inner turmoil, can lead to physical deterioration.
Right, the bones wasting away imagery.
Exactly. And then there's Proverbs 17.22, which declares, a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. It truly highlights that ancient awareness, that deep understanding of the inseparable link between our inner state and our physical well-being.
Which then leads us to consider, how does the source address experiences we commonly label today as, say, depression and anxiety?
Good question.
It notes that Elijah's profound despair, crying out, "It is enough now, O Lord, take away my life," that's in 1 Kings 19.4. It remarkably mirrors symptoms we'd associate with clinical depression.
That sense of utter hopelessness.
Precisely. And similarly, David's lament in Song 6, verses 6 and 7, "All night I make my bed to swim, my eyes consumed because of grief. I mean, that paints a very clear picture of profound psychological distress.
And contemporary research, you mentioned scholars like van der Kolk and Siegel, it really reinforces this, doesn't it? Their work has shown how unresolved emotional trauma significantly affects both our neurological systems and our physiological systems. It's like scientific validation for what these ancient texts described about the body's response to inner turmoil.
The body keeps the score, as van der Kolk titled his book.
Exactly. Okay, so we've seen how soul pain manifests. It often mirrors modern psychological conditions. It can even impact our physical health. This naturally leads us to the crucial question. What does the source identify as the underlying causes of this profound suffering?
Right, where does it come from?
Yeah. It outlines several factors, beginning with personal sin.
Okay. The Bible, as explored in the source, does make a clear connection between internal turmoil and, well, personal actions or choices. Take Psalm 32, verses 3 and 4. It states, "When I kept silent, my bones wasted away." The source explains this as an illustration of guilt-related anxiety. It's that internal conflict, maybe what some scholars today might even refer to as moral injury.
Moral injury.
Yeah.
Explain that a bit.
It's essentially a deep psychological wound that can occur when one's actions, or maybe even inaction, violate deeply held moral beliefs or ethical codes. That internal dissonance causing deep pain.
I see. But it's not just our own actions that can wound us, is it? The source is clear on that, too.
Absolutely not.
Trauma caused by others' actions, others' sin, can also inflict deep soul pain. The source cites the really tragic story of Tamar in 2 Samuel 13.
A devastating account.
Yeah, where after a horrific assault, she lived a desolate woman, just isolated in her pain.
And her subsequent silence, her isolation, they're powerfully echoed, sadly, in the experiences of many trauma survivors today who grapple with complex PTSD.
Right.
That's a condition resulting from prolonged or repeated trauma, often interpersonal, and it can deeply affect many areas of life. As scholars like Garbarino and Bedard have explored, this kind of story highlights how external acts of sin can indeed deeply wound another's soul, leaving these lasting scars.
And this pain, it can even extend beyond just individuals, right?
Okay.
The source also touches on generational and community pain. That feels like a crucial distinction.
Yes, absolutely. The source points to that collective dimension as well. Think of the Book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verses 17 through 20. My soul is bereft of peace. It's illustrating communal trauma.
The pain of a whole people.
Exactly. And that's something still observed today, isn't it? In communities grappling with the fallout of historical injustice, systemic abuse, things like that, it shows that soul pain isn't always just individual. It can be inherited, shared by an entire group, passed down through generations, or inflicted by larger societal wrongs. It's a much broader tapestry of suffering than we sometimes acknowledge.
Okay, now this next point. This might be where the biblical and, let's say, the standard psychological perspectives diverge most sharply.
Ah, yes.
The idea of demonic influence as a source of soul pain, it's certainly a different framework.
It is a profound difference in framing, you're right. Psychology typically, well, it avoids overt spiritual explanations, doesn't it? It focuses on observable behaviors, brain chemistry, environmental factors.
And that we can measure empirically.
Right. However, the source we're looking at states that Scripture is quite clear that some soul pain originates in what it calls spiritual warfare.
Okay.
The example given of the man driven by demons in Luke chapter 8, verses 27 to 29 is really striking. He suffered intense isolation, self-harm symptoms that modern psychology might, label as severe psychological disturbance, perhaps psychosis, maybe dissociative identity disorder, which involves those disruptions in memory, awareness, identity.
Serious condition.
Very serious. Yet the biblical account shows Jesus restoring him completely to peace and clarity. That's in Luke 8.35.
So in the source's view, then, modern psychology might label such cases strictly as mental illness.
Right.
But it suggests that without spiritual discernment, deeper spiritual issues could potentially be misdiagnosed or maybe just overlooked entirely. It's a challenge, isn't it, integrating those two worldviews?
It's a significant challenge. Precisely. From this specific perspective, the source suggests that relying solely on psychological frameworks might miss a crucial dimension of the problem in certain cases. It could potentially lead to incomplete healing if underlying spiritual roots are present and unaddressed. It's essentially a call to consider a broader diagnostic lens.
Okay, so we have these different perspectives, these different potential causes and frameworks. We know modern therapies and medications certainly offer significant relief for psychological distress.
Undeniably valuable tools.
Yeah. For instance, the source notes that something like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which helps people identify and change those destructive thought patterns, actually aligns quite well with the biblical concept in Romans 12.2 of renewing the mind.
There's a parallel there in transforming thought processes.
Right. It's about transforming how you think.
hmm But while these clinical solutions are incredibly valuable and they can bring temporary stability, symptom relief, which is huge,
Crucial sometimes.
absolutely crucial. The source, however, highlights what it sees as a crucial distinction when considering lasting or ultimate healing. It points to Matthew 12, verses 43 to 45.
Okay, what does that say?
From a biblical interpretation, it warns that spiritual vacuums, meaning an empty or unaddressed spiritual void within a person, can lead to relapse or even a worse state if that space isn't filled specifically with the divine,
So it's not just about getting rid of the negative.
but about filling the space with something positive, something spiritually substantive. This idea, in the source's view, suggests that simply addressing symptoms might not be enough for deep, lasting change if an underlying spiritual void remains, leaving the soul, vulnerable.
Right.
This then leads us, naturally, to a pivotal question. What then is the ultimate or lasting solution for soul pain, according to this specific source?
That's a powerful point about temporary relief versus maybe lasting transformation. So what does this all mean for truly deep and enduring healing, according to the source material we've explored today?
Well, ultimately, the source presents Christ as the definitive healer of the soul.
Okay.
It points to passages like Luke 4.18, which speaks of him being sent to heal the brokenhearted, or John 14.27, which highlights the profound peace he offers, a peace explicitly described as not as the world gives.
A different kind of peace.
A different source, a different quality of peace. And then there's Psalm 23.3, which states so simply, yet so profoundly, he restores my soul.
It sounds like a truly comprehensive solution, at least from this particular biblical viewpoint.
It is presented as such. The source posits that Christ offers forgiveness for guilt, which we discussed as a source of pain, deliverance for the oppressed, whether by internal states or, in this view, external spiritual forces, comfort for the grieving, and enduring hope for the desolate.
And the role of the Spirit.
Crucial. His Spirit, as described in places like John 16.33 and John 20.22, is presented as both a guiding presence and a powerful agent of healing, working directly within the soul for the soul.
Wow. What a deep dive this has been. Looking at the fascinating connections and maybe some divergences between ancient biblical understanding and modern psychological insights into this thing we're calling soul pain. It seems clear that while modern science is uncovering these incredibly intricate connections, mind, emotions, body, even spiritual health aspects sometimes,
Right.
the Bible has actually been articulating these profound human experiences, maybe in different language, but articulating them for millennia.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, as you said earlier, it's perhaps not about one perspective canceling out the other,
No.
but maybe recognizing how psychology provides invaluable insights, language, practical strategies for managing suffering, while the gospel, as Minister Powell's work concludes, offers something potentially deeper, a path toward spiritual transformation and what it calls the ultimate restoration of the soul.
The source reminds us with that powerful line from Psalm 42.5, which we mentioned earlier, "Why are you cast down, O my soul? Hope in God." So the true and lasting restoration of the soul in this specific biblical view we've explored comes not just through human effort or understanding alone, but ultimately through what it presents as the living presence of Jesus Christ.
And reflecting on all this, it really raises an important question, perhaps for you listening to consider. In your own experience, or maybe in your observations of others, where do you see the most profound impact on inner suffering? Is it primarily through psychological approaches, through spiritual ones, or perhaps, as is often the case, some kind of powerful combination of both?
Yeah, that's a great question.
What resonates most strongly with you about this compelling, sometimes complex connection between ancient text and modern understanding?
Definitely something to reflect on. We hope this deep dive gave you some new perspectives, maybe a few aha moments to chew on. Until next time.